Good morning, good morning, good morning. Well, it's morning for me. I'm not sure when you're watching this, so good morning, regardless. So, sip of coffee, French press coffee, huge fan. I got a French press the other day, and out of the store, couldn't resist it, and now I'm addicted to it, so I'm drinking too much coffee again. But today's talk is about injuries, and yes, I've come across my first one here. As I mentioned earlier, this is kind of a very extreme process that I'm trying to do, and I'm kind of been talking about some aches and pains and things that might come up along the way and be very cognizant of it. But I finally got kind of hurt. Now, the real weird thing is I have no idea how I got hurt. I don't understand it. Normally you have some warning signs coming, maybe you push through something. I don't know. I don't know if I stepped on something. I don't know if I hit something. I don't know if it's a fluke. I've never had this before. It is my left leg. It's almost like a shin splint, but it's not. It's much lower. It's almost like one of my extensors of my toe is somehow lit up. It's gotten better, thankfully, and I went like an idiot, decided to play a bunch on it, and shouldn't have. And it was worse, but now today's better. I'm just probably going to taper off some of the impact and jumping. I can still squat and do my hinge patterns and all this stuff, but we'll talk about what that all means in a minute. So when you get hurt, or something like this does happen, there's a couple of things I like to personally do. One, the first one is understand why the heck you got hurt in the first place, right? There is information to obtain there. Unfortunately, I cannot figure out for the life of me how this happened. I don't know why my shin hurts all of a sudden, and it's not even my shin, this weird portion of my lower leg, but it does hurt, and so I can't really get much information out of this one. But in the past, I've had things like, whether it's tendinitis or somewhat of a pec strain or things like that. You can look in your training history and say, wow, I was getting really aggressive with my loading. There are these warning signs that were coming up. And next time I see these warning signs, whether it's aches, pains, soreness, or tweaks, you might respect them a little bit more. Now, unfortunately, I actually somehow got hurt at the end of a deload week, which is the most ironic thing ever. So I look back at my training history, and yes, I had some borderline overtraining-ish stuff earlier in the week, but I had deloaded the last 4 days. I don't even know, it's not from an excessive overuse stuff, so who knows. But one, you want to learn from your warning signs. What's your body telling you, and can you next time avoid that? Number two, do you train through pain or do you train around pain? And that's really important. Like right now, I want to go lift. I want to run, I want to jump, I want to continue this process. Unfortunately, I was a knucklehead and decided to play a little bit, made things not any better. Actually, didn't really make things worse. So it's, again, one of the reasons why it really confuses me as to what the heck is going on. But regardless, it didn't, there's no reason to train through pain, especially when that pain can lead to something greater. So training around pain, modifying your training. Now, whether that's doing more single leg work on the one healthy leg or doing movements that don't bother the aggravated injury site. So if I could squat, hinge, and do all this fun stuff, and I just can't for some reason handle any impacts right now, well, I can get a lot of bang for my buck by doing some speed squats or maybe some hinges and some RDLs. And I can take this is number 3, by the way, as an opportunity to explore other areas and work on other areas that I might have left lacking. So, okay, I have an injury, I can't do this 25% of my normal training. That's okay. I'm going to take that, pitfall in this unfortunate situation as an opportunity to say, okay, how can I fill that 25% with movements that maybe I wasn't really dabbling in because I didn't really want to nor I had the time to. So now I have an extra 25% of training volume that I can allocate to new kind of movements that A, don't bother me, and B, I wasn't really doing before, and maybe even C, can help me in the future avoid any other injuries. So to sum this all together, it's yes, sometimes things happen, and if you do get hurt, do get injured, it is wise to an extent, at least in my opinion, to try and think about why that happened, right? Why did you get hurt? What warning signs were coming up? How can you listen to your body a little better? And then understanding what training variables may have or may not have contributed to it. For example, maybe it's too much of one type of exercise, or maybe you didn't have enough of this other type of exercise in there. So understanding where the injury came from, we're never going to really precisely maybe ever know, but at least to the best of your ability, right? You want to try and not pinpoint, but follow the breadcrumbs, I should say. Number 2 is, I'm not a believer in training through pain. If something hurts, understand why it hurts, understand, again, what happened to it, and maybe there's no reason to try and push through it, but instead we can train around it, do movements that don't bother it, do movements that don't aggravate it, maybe training one leg versus the other. There's a lot of options, and also remember, it's about training throughout life. So yes, during this time period, we might not be able to train as much as we'd like, but we want to be smart so we don't further set ourselves back so we can keep training in the future. Number 3 is take the opportunity to try and learn some new movements, or focus on things that didn't get the attention that you wish you could have. And then I guess number 4, which I didn't say, is don't be nearsighted or short-sighted. Make sure you realize this is a process, and yes, you might miss whatever allocated amount of time, but pushing yourself beyond what's necessary might cause you to miss even more time, which is not a good thing. So that's where I'm at today. I actually have some weird random injury. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm still going to try and train. I'm going to show some of those training clips in another video. I'll get my workout in, try and do some of my VBT testing, maybe add some additional movements in, maybe some more hinge patterns. We'll see where it goes. And also I'll update you on my upper body stuff as well, because ironically I had not been doing that as much as I should have been. I have been training upper body, and we'll kind of walk through some things that I'm going to be adding into that and some of the programming for all that fun stuff. So I appreciate you guys listening. As always, feel free to like, subscribe, and follow along. This is a journey. It's a process. You guys are all with me during this, and we're trying to be the best athlete we can and then talk about things that come up along the way. Even though I don't want an injury to come up for myself, it does add a little bit of interesting interesting scenario into this kind of storyline. So we'll see how it goes. As always, I appreciate all listening, and hope you all enjoy and take care.